Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. We're back with a Manchester United news show, and we've got plenty to talk about as Manchester United have a bid rejected for their number one striker target. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about goalkeeping situations. Manchester United getting very close to signing a new number one. We're going to talk about midfielders and some possible outgoings finally at Manchester United. But as usual, get your thoughts and comments into the chat below. Let's get straight into it. You're more than welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. Again, I didn't have my microphone there, but anyway. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Thanks for joining. Yeah, look, plenty to talk about tonight, as usual. Manchester United, we know number one target this summer is going to be a striker, and we have had a bid rejected. Now, it has been a cash plus player bid, but Atalanta are holding out for only cash. So we're going to talk about that, like I said. Getting very close, as it seems, to a new goalkeeper with Manchester United. Talk are progressing. Only in the past maybe hour or so, we've got some updates on that as well. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, let's get straight into it here. Who have we got in the chat? Ben is there. Ice Cream Man says, Oisin, like the wallpaper. Yeah, so this is the new background. This is a real one. It's not a fake one. And I'm going to be doing it up. I've got some jerseys to hang and some memorabilia and stuff like that as well. So we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, let's jump straight into it, guys. So look, Manchester United have a bid for Atalanta striker rejected. Manchester United have had a cash plus offer for Rasmus Hojlund rejected by Atalanta. This is according to The Athletic, who state that the Serie A club are insisting on a cash-only deal. The 20-year-old Danish striker has quickly become Erik ten Hag's number one after Erik ten Hag became unfeasible, blah, 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 FFP. Atalanta are currently demanding £85 million for Rasmus Hojlund. And by all accounts, they are not budging on it. They really aren't. So, look, I mean, Manchester United are really going to have their hands full. So, Manchester United, this again, these are from different outlets now. We've heard some different things today. But one outlet has suggested that United have offered Fred and Donny van de Beek in their move for Atalanta's Rasmus Hojlund. Now, the one thing I would say about that is, it doesn't seem too far from the truth that United could potentially have offered Fred and Donny van de Beek, for example, because what's holding up the Fred deal with Fulham, for example? Maybe Manchester United are holding off on pulling the trigger on Fred's deal to Fulham in hopes of using him as, you know, weight in comparison to a deal like this. So look, it's interesting. It really is. Look, there's one thing for certain about this, is that Rasmus Hojlund is hugely overpriced at 85 million. They're demanding 85 million in a cash only deal as they continue to Manchester United. Now, it's been pretty clear from the offset that they've wanted 85 million for him. Now, you know, some reports have suggested, well, look, that's just their starting amount. United will come with a offer, will meet somewhere in the middle, similarly to the majority of deals that get done. We've seen it most recently with Mason Mount. So I think 85 million is crazy money. It really is. But it does look like they're digging their heels in over this. Now, when it comes to the player himself, he has said that he wants to join Manchester United. He is a Manchester United fan, and he wants to leave Atalanta this summer. Now, he is happy to leave Atalanta for another top club that is not Manchester United if a deal can't be brokered. So what does this do more than anything else is that it means that if Manchester United miss out on him, somebody else is going to get him. So again, we don't want to fall into the same trap that we did before, where Manchester United are left with their tails between their legs, you know, running away and trying to sign a last-ditch attempt player at the end of the transfer window. I'm worried about this. I won't lie. I really am worried about this. I've been quite calm in relation to strikers and in relation to the transfer window in general. We've got Mason Mount in. Okay, that wasn't a priority. Our priority always was a number 9. But I think the fact that Atalanta are digging their heels in for a 20-year-old who scored 7 goals in the league last year is crazy. It really is. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can look at this. Atalanta don't have to sell, so they can demand a price, that they deem to be, I suppose, the value of the player. On the flip side of that, the whole world knows that Manchester United are desperate for a number 9. So they can go, ding, there you go, stick 20 million on top of that, or you're not getting them, move on. So Manchester United can be, could potentially be caught here this summer, because everybody knows we want a striker. Everybody knows we need one, but not everybody is willing to sell us one at the price that we want. So I'm worried about this, and the reason being is that we've seen already that, we've only played one preseason game already, and we haven't got an out-and-out striker to play it. Jadon Sancho played in a kind of a false 9 role, and didn't really do anything. Martial, I mean, I just can't. It's like he's a jigsaw. He just goes to pieces in the box. He's always just falling apart. He's never fit enough. Basically, we just can't put our hat on him and rely on him for the upcoming season alongside Marcus Rashford. I think if Manchester United don't get a number 9 this summer, it will be down to money. I do think we will eventually get one. It does look like we're probably going to overpay because, the likes of, let's say, for example, we change our mind and don't go with Rasmus Hojlund and we decide to go somewhere else. Let's say we decide to go for Gonzalo Ramos, say, no, too much Atalanta, we're walking away. We're going for Gonzalo Ramos. Then Benfica are going to say, well, you were priced out of a bid for a player at 85 million that scored 8 goals last season. Our fella scored 27 goals last season. So we want 80 million as well. So for that kind of money, I would just be saying, if it was a possibility just to get Harry Kane, if you put 100 million on the table for Spurs and said to Daniel Levy in 3 weeks' time, when, we're getting kind of to the, I won't say the latter stages, but the business end of the transfer window, and put 100 million on the table and said to him, here you go, because you're going to lose him for free next summer. We give you 100 million now. I would prefer to do that than to spend 80 million, even 70 million on a Rasmus Hojlund or a, Gonzalo Ramos or somebody like that. Let's see what people are saying in the chat here. Anyway, let's see. Irish Lad says, wonder would they take Maguire as well? I think we'd all be happy with anybody taking Maguire. Niall says, the summer is turning into a proper shit show. Sale gone quiet. No number 1 keeper. Stalling on Onana and being held to ransom on an unproven number 9. Well, some good news on Onana, which we'll get into in a moment. Irish Lad says 85 mil is Kane money. Absolutely. Yep. Speaking the truth there. Ben says, I'd be off looking elsewhere. I'm afraid. Has to be another offer. Take it or leave it. Oshin says 85 mil for an unproven player. Come on this stage and give someone else a go. Is that panic button built into the desk yet? I'm having one made. Let's see. Irish Test says, forgive Greenwood and striker is sorted, ? Yeah, look, I don't think that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I think that would bring more negatives than positives. Oshin says, don't wear black again on a stream. Floating head syndrome going on and Mike disappeared. All right, okay. Need to get my arms in. Okay, no problem. Every day is a school day. Ben, smiley faces as well. Irish Lad says, United tax, we always overpay. And Irish Lad says, players used to come to United for the badge, not the money. Well, look, I will give some, I suppose, kudos to Hojlund here. He does want to come to Manchester United. He really does. But his club are, at the moment, pricing him out of a move. So I wouldn't be too critical of him. Let's see what people on TikTok are saying. Keep smashing the like button as well, guys. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button on YouTube, the follow button on TikTok. The United View, thanks for the gift. Much appreciated, pal. Everybody go over and follow the United View as well, guys. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Let's scroll back here. Donny says, but Tony, have him for next year. Buy Kane for 70 million for this year. Let's see. Dirty Mike says, get Tony, I'd say, for cheap enough. Yeah, well, look, the thing about it is when we're talking about Ivan Toney here, and it's a good point, like Ivan Toney is going to be available to play in January. Do you go out now and get him at a bargain rate and take a chance on the kind of player that's going to come back? We don't know what kind of player is going to come back. Is he going to come back the same? Is he going to come back, you know, a shell of the player he used to be? We don't know. But it depends what kind of money he's going for. I haven't even heard of anybody looking to sign Ivan Toney this summer, but I do think it could potentially be an option in January if United at that stage are stuck for a striker. I hope we wouldn't be, though. I really would. Manny says go all in for Kane. I think the same, guys. I think a lot of people are saying the same thing. Kane. Jamie says, I saw today Moussa Dembele from Lyon is a free agent, 26, and is decent. Onana to United just confirmed, says Mert. We're going to get into Onana now in a minute. Mossy, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. Kiefer says, I'm after losing that. Where is it? I can see Head, Arms, and Mike on TikTok. Carol, thanks for the follow. Riki says, I'd like to have Jonathan David of Lille, only 23. He scores and assists too. Yeah, I mean, there are other options out there. I don't think there are cheap options out there, though. That's the problem. Why don't we just put everything into Kane, says Mark. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. A lot of people saying the same, go all out for Kane. I think we're all in agreement with that. Well, maybe not all of us. Donny says Kane is too old, past his prime. I disagree, Donny. I really do. I think Kane is probably only hitting his prime now. Garrett says, why are we not signing players? Well, look, we're working on it. Now, so when it comes to Rasmus Hojlund, all of this delay has led to some supposedly opposition teams coming in for him. And as you can see on the screen here, Paris Saint-Germain are set to rival Manchester United for Rasmus Hojlund. So Manchester United search for a centre forward is set to intensify, blah, blah, blah. A raft of names have been linked with the number 9 after being priced away from a move, number 1 target. However, United will have to move quickly if they want to make Hojlund their man, with French giants PSG circling for his signature. As reported by the Daily Mail, the French champions have entered the race to sign the 20-year-old who has emerged as one of Europe's finest young talents. Atalanta have slapped a whopping 86 million price tag on Hojlund's head, with United sending an early bid at less than half the asking price. So, I mean, all of this stuff that we're talking about here just boils down to one thing. This guy is not going to go for any cheaper than we're thinking about buying him for. We are going to have to spend money on him. We're probably going to have to spend upwards of probably 60 million, 65 million, I would even say. We probably are going to end up spending close to 70 million on this kid if we are to get him, because 1, Atalanta are digging their heels in. 2, now there is competition from other clubs around Europe that want his signature, and top clubs as well. So it all leads to the one thing that happens with United. We'll end up overpaying. Now, overpaying is a very easy thing to say before the guy has even kicked the ball for Manchester United. He could come along and score 25 goals next season in the Premier League, and no one will say we've overpaid, you know. So saying you've overpaid on a player, you can't really say that until maybe 2 or 3 seasons down the line. Now, have we overpaid for, you know, have we overpaid for Sancho? Probably, because he's had 2 pretty poor seasons. Have we overpaid for Anthony? Remains to be seen, because he's had 1 pretty decent first season, you would have to say. Did we overpay for Angel Di Maria? Absolutely we did, you know. So it all depends. Once the player leaves, then you can gauge whether you've overpaid or not. But by all accounts, Manchester United are going to have to spend money that they don't want to spend on this guy. So what does that mean with the goalkeeper, which we're going to get into now in a moment? I mean, we don't have a goalkeeper. So Manchester United are pretty much left with both ends of their team non-existent. You know, we have a number 9 in Anthony Martial, but he is not reliable. We know Rashford can play there, but you want Rashford on the left. You know, does Eric Ten Hag have a plan of actually playing Rashford through the middle more this season with Garnacho, you know, getting more starts on the left-hand side? There is options there, of course there is, but there's no depth. And if we look at the goalkeeper side of things, obviously David De Gea is gone. Tom Heaton was in goal and Kovar was in goal for our first preseason game. We're desperate for a number 1. Will we get both? I think we will. Will we overpay? Probably. Will we have to really, really, really push for sales this summer to make up the difference? Yes, we will. We will. We really will. Anyway, let's move it on to the goalkeeper situation here. And this was reported earlier today that Inter sporting director flies to the UK to accelerate Onana talks with Manchester United. Now, we know that this deal is getting closer and closer as the minutes and hours go on. Manchester United are desperate for a new number 1. They really are. This is the guy that Eric Ten Hag wants. And Inter also hold calls with United to close the Onana deal. So let's go down through this. Manchester United appear to be edging closer to agreeing a deal to sign Inter Milan goalkeeper Andrea Onana. A report from Sport Italia this evening claims Inter Milan are due to hold a conference call with Manchester United to close a deal for the player. It says the Italian club wish to complete the transfer by tomorrow and will accept the apparent £47 million bid offered by United over the weekend. Again, there's been updates from Fabrizio Romano on Twitter as well, saying just in, and this was only about 4 minutes before we went live, Manchester United are now closing in on Andrea Onana deal as final verbal proposal has been made during talks today. It's €50 million fee plus 5 million add-ons, structure of add-ons being discussed, then deal done. So Fabrizio Romano doesn't come out and say this if it's not the truth. Andrea Onana is going to be announced in the next day or two. It's pretty much done. You know, Fabrizio Romano doesn't come out and say this without without being rock solid sure about it. So that's good news. It really is good news. So it kind of it strengthens one area of the pitch that we desperately need strengthening in. So this will get done. I have no doubts about it. But I mean, with the fee, for example, so we're talking 50 million. What was Mason Mount? Mason Mount was 55 plus 5. So that would be, if it's 55 plus the 50, let's say, because obviously the 5s are in add-ons. Again, it's interesting to know, and I don't think we will know, or I don't think we will find out what way the payments are structured either. I'm sure it's not 50 million up front because it never really is. It might be 40 million up front and 5 million additional payments, in 6 months' time and in 12 months' time. So that I'd say that is probably the reason why we're seeing, first of all, the Mason Mount deal drag on that distance. Secondly, the Onana deal. And I would say even thirdly, the likes of Hojlund, for example. I think if they're looking for big money, Manchester United are going to look to structure the payments in a certain way that they don't have to worry about financial fair play. And that they can invest other areas rather than putting it all into one. Guys, thanks for the gifts on TikTok. Much appreciated. Christopher, much appreciated. Thanks for the gifts. And Joffe as well. Much appreciated, guys. So, yeah, I mean, 50 million, if it is out of the transfer kitty straight away, on top of 55, you're talking 100 million basically. And that leaves us with, what do we know? We don't know what it leaves us with after that, because the reports have suggested from 100 to 150 million throughout the transfer window. That's before any sales are done. So one thing is for sure, with signing Andrea Onana on top of the Mason Mount deal, we will not have enough money to spend on Rasmus Hojlund if they're looking for 80 million straight up. We won't have that money. We will have to sell players. Let's go down through some of the comments here and see what people are saying. Let's see. Let me just go back through some of them here. Would you buy Hojlund for the same money as Anthony? No, I wouldn't, Irish Dad, because I think we overpaid for Anthony, because we left it too long. Oshin says, it will be a case like last August, dodgy results, then splash to cash, or is the sale screwing us? Well, I think that does have a lot to do with it as well, because if we're talking about financial fair play, and that's the reason why the purse strings are tight this summer, if you had an owner, the owners of the club can automatically soak up 90% of the expenditure of the club. So basically what that means is, let's say, for example, 100 million, the owners can say, right, well, we'll dissolve 90% of that, which is 90 million. What basically it means then is you would have a 90 million extra going into your transfer kitty. Now, we know for 100% certain that the Glazers have never done this. They've never taken any of the expenditure off the club, and and brought that into their own personal expenditure. They've never done that. So basically, that's why Manchester United's purse strings are tight this summer. If, for example, we had Qatar, they would go 90 million, grant, no problem, extra 90 million on top. And then rather than, 150 million being able to spend, you would say, right, well, we have 90 million on top of that. That's 240, okay? And then you get, people employed at the club who are good at negotiating and good at selling players. And then you get an extra, 80 or 90 million in terms of sales throughout a summer, then all of a sudden you have over 300 million to spend, and then all of a sudden you can revolutionize your team in a season or two, so that's how it works basically. Niall says, if United bid 100 million for Kane, Spurs would look for 150. Spurs won't sell to United. Ben says, thing is with Kane, go do it now and not wait. If we wait, then he don't come, and he doesn't come, where do we go? That's a good point. Overpay for Maguire, says Irish Lad. Dale says, Gammy Mouth can stay at Spurs. All right. Don't Inter still owe money over Lukaku? I don't know what truth is in that, to be quite honest with you. I have heard it as well. Scott, thanks for joining. Welcome to the Members Club. Appreciate the support. Yeah, absolutely fantastic, Scott. Thanks for the support, pal. I've been noticing you on the lives for the last few weeks, so you're more than welcome. Thanks for the support. Anyone else wants to join as an official member, guys, link is in the description. Go check out the options. The big thing we're doing for official members of the channel this year is they will be coming on our match reviews every game. After every United game that we do, you'll have a chance to come on and give your opinion on live on screen with us. So if you want to become a member, go check it out. Paul says, good evening. How's things keeping today? Good to see you, Paul. Thanks for joining. Let's see. Alan says, would you fancy Hojlund for that, Jack? I wouldn't even be too convinced with 40 million. Very raw, unproven talent. Yeah, and that's what we were discussing, Alan. I think he is the up-and-coming future star, they would say, of, in Europe. And a lot of people are tipping him to be, the next Haaland, for example. Very similar style of play. But it's never, ever, ever a foregone conclusion, or a foregone conclusion. Get my words mixed up. So, I mean, Haaland for 50 million for City last year is a no-brainer. Hojlund to Manchester United this summer for 85 million is not a no-brainer. It really isn't. So I think that's what we've got to. I think that's what we've got to be careful about. But yeah, let's see what people on TikTok are saying here. We'll go back through some of the comments here. Let's see. Christian says, who do you think leaves us this summer? Yeah, we're going to get into some people leaving now. So there's some decent reports coming out about that. Who is a decent, achievable alternative striker, says Mark. Well, look, there are names out there that have been discussed before. But the thing about it is with a striker, the most basic of striker now is probably going to set you back about 40 million. So if you're going to be spending 40 million on a striker, that's probably going to be a backup to you buying another striker in January or in the summer next year. Do you just go bite the bullet and say, all right, but let's just spend 80 million now? I think if we can get players off the books relatively quickly, which we haven't really done so far, I think we might not be too bad, but we do need to get our act together. So with Onana basically done, who do we target now, or do we focus on sales, says Christopher? Well, we can target a player. Absolutely we can. And, you know, I think this whole kind of sell to buy is it's not set in stone that you have to sell before you can buy. You know, I'm under no illusion or under no, you know, I suppose doubt that Manchester United have the money to go out there and buy a new goalkeeper, which it looks like they're going to do in the next couple of days, and a new striker if that costs you 70 or 80 million. And then you can go and sell your players and make up the money for it on the back end of the transfer window. You know, because if we're looking at financial fair play, like we said, I suppose the business year for Manchester United runs from June to June. So if we buy players this transfer window, we can offload some by the end of it then as well. And then we can offload more in January, hopefully, and try and balance the books that way. Also, what you probably will have to take into consideration is there probably will be a big influx of money that comes into Manchester United when new owners hopefully and eventually take over. So that all has to be taken into consideration as well. Jay says, sell Anthony Martial and Scott McTominay and get a proper striker. Kim says, when will Manchester United's away kit come out? I'm not sure, actually. So are the Glazers out now? Do we have a new owner? No, we don't. We don't. What happens if we won't get a striker this season? Well, we will. We'll have to. We'll probably end up overpaying, but I think we will eventually get one. Kiefer, thanks for subscribing to the TikTok channel. Much appreciated, my friend. And thanks for the gifts as well, guys. All much appreciated there. Anyway, so look, let's move it on. Sorry, couple of comments here. Nadir says we should go to somewhere like Japan and look for a cheap striker. Well, again, unproven in the Premier League. I mean, big contrast between a player playing in Japan to come and try and do it as the number one striker for Manchester United. But I like the way you're thinking, you know, maybe an under the radar, maybe from South America or places like that. Absolutely. Jamie says, who would you let go from the club? Well, I think it's pretty clear. Maguire, McTominay, Fred, Donny, Martial, you know, Telles, Elanga, these types of players, I would happy to let them all go. Luke says, Man City definitely doing something dodgy. How have they most money but get players for under market value? For example, Kovacic and Haaland most recently. Well, first and foremost, they've got good people that are able to negotiate. So I think that's a big plus for them there as well. The kit man is in. He says, bar Onana and Hojlund, would you see us signing or like us to sign? I can't really see much more than the three lads. There he is, guys. The kit man is in. Make sure you go check him out. He's sponsoring the next couple of watch alongs for us as well. Alan, I know a couple of guys from the chat last night went and ordered some gear off you as well. So make sure you go check him out. But in relation to your question, bar Onana and Hojlund, who would you like to see us signing? Well, it brings me on nicely to who we want to talk about next, and that's a midfielder. And I do want to talk about Amrabat and the fact that Manchester United are quite interested in this player. They really are. And I think... you know, I haven't really spoken about him an awful lot, and I think he would be a good signing for Manchester United. Fiorentina won 35 million euro, which I think is a very achievable amount for Manchester United. But what you have to do also think about is if we go into negotiations with Fiorentina for Amrabat, again, we talk about what we've talked about with Hojlund or Mount or Onana. They start high, we start low. So we'll probably go in at 20 million. They're looking for 35. We'll meet them at about 26, 27 million, which I think would be a good price to pay for a player like him. Let's go down through it. Serie A side Fiorentina want a fee of 35 million to sell Manchester United and Barcelona target. And we're going to get into that as well because there is competition there for this guy as well. La Gazzetta dello Sport today state that after 3 seasons with La Viola, Amrabat has now asked to leave Fiorentina as he looks to join a top club this summer. Fiorentina have accepted his demands, but will only leave if an offer of 35 million arrives. But it can also be negotiated to about 30 million. So then, again, that's exactly what we're talking about there. It could be very easy for United to go in and say, we'll give you, 20 million with 10 million of achievable add-ons, or 25 million with, 5 million of add-ons. I think it's quite an easy deal to get done for Amrabat. But like we read there, Manchester United are going to have competition, and this is coming from Gazzetta in Italy. Again, Fiorentina want 35 million. He's already asked to leave, but Barcelona, Manchester United, and Bayern Munich are interested. So we've seen what happened already when Bayern Munich are interested in a player that we were interested in. They go to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, when they declare their interest and they really go all out for a player, they tend to get them. They really do. Christopher, thanks for the gifts again. Much appreciated. So I think United, this is kind of a caught between a rock and a hard place kind of a transfer, because first and foremost, you're going to have to move fast if the likes of Bayern Munich and Barcelona are genuinely interested in him. But secondly, we can't really go out and buy him and spend 35 million on him until we've got a striker in. I think this guy is going to be the last signing of the transfer window if we were to get him, because, like, I mean, we can't go out and sign a second midfielder when we haven't even signed a number 9, because we're so desperate for a number 9. We really are so desperate for a number 9. And I think because of that, this deal is going to get pushed back further and further. And I think because of that, we may miss out on him. But yeah, and I think I would like to see a second striker at Manchester United. I really would. A second midfielder at Manchester United. I would. But I think we're probably going to miss out on it because we need to prioritize a striker next. You know, unless we can get 2 or 3 players off the books for money, for good money, or use them in a player plus cash deal for a player that we want to sign, that will give us more money to go out and maybe speed up the process of signing somebody like this. Just give me 1 second. I just want to read Twitter here. There's something coming up on it. Oh, yeah. So there's just reports coming out that, let's see, Camp Nou sources have explained that Manchester United once again asked for Frankie de Jong this summer, but without further ado, neither Barcelona nor Frankie de Jong are up for any potential move. So there we go. Frankie de Jong is not coming to Manchester United. So yeah, look, I mean, Amrabat to Manchester United, I would like to see it happen. I would like to see... this is a kind of a deal that you could just go directly to Fiorentina and say, we'll do you a straight swap, Scott McTominay for Amrabat. What do you think? Similar players. I think Scott McTominay could have a very, very successful career in Serie A. I think it would suit him. I really do. But it all depends whether he wants to, you know, move to Italy. I don't know. British players tend to not move abroad. You know, that's the one thing I would say. I mean, there's been a couple of players, you know, in the last few years that have kind of maybe broken the mold. Your Gareth Bales, your Bellingham's, most recently Jadon Sancho's. But, you know, and of course we had David Beckham and Michael Owen and things like that. But the majority of British players tend to stay, you know, within England. And so it would remain to be seen. I think it would be a brilliant, just straight swap deal. Here's Scott McTominay. Scott, do you want to go there? Yeah, I'll go there. Okay, Amrabat, come on, let's go. And just high-five him, get them to high-five each other, you know, on the plane, going in opposite directions. So I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. Let's see. Let's go through some of the comments here. Oshin says, that midfield, Amrabat, and I don't know what the other name is, a centre-back, Butcher and Varane, if he can stay fit, would be a serious setup. Yeah, I think it would. I think it really would. Alex says, Elanga to Everton. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a moment. Luke also says, Elanga and Iwobi at Everton. God bless the fans. Jesus Christ. Give them Fred for Amrabat, says Irish lad. Yeah, another option there. Bilal says, why can't we offer Martial plus cash to get Muani? Yeah, I mean, it's an option. It certainly is. But I think the stumbling block there is the fact that Anthony Martial has, a contract with some quite substantial wages that he wouldn't get going to, a team, with all due respect. Aaron says, what's the Kitman's page, please? It's called the kitman.eu. You can get him on Instagram, or that's his website address, the kitman.eu. Go check it out. Yeah, the guys have put into the chat there as well. Oshin says, can we forget about Frankie, please? Wasting our time even inquiring. Yeah, look, I mean, it's probably just a feelers, Is there any way? No, okay, bye. We're not wasting any more time because we haven't heard anything about Frankie de Jong at all, Ben says, we made sure he didn't forget his whistle. Yeah, exactly. Scott McTominay. Oshin says, autocorrect tonight. Irish Dad says, think Celtic are after Max Sauce. Yeah, it mightn't be a bad move for him, going back to Scotland. Mightn't be a bad move for him. I think it would be somewhere where he would stand out and excel as a good player. Tom says, Martial is the laziest player to ever. Need to sell him straight away. Look, to be honest with you, when it comes to Martial, I would not be really surprised if he is at Manchester United again next year. I really wouldn't. Just give me one. But sorry about that. Yeah, so Anthony Martial, I would not be surprised if he is at Manchester United again next season. I really wouldn't. I think the fact that his wages are so high, he's injury prone. His last loan spell to Sevilla was a complete and utter night. I think I don't see another unless Martial is willing to lower his wages substantially. I think he's on 200 grand a week. Like he's going to go to a new club and not even get 100 grand a week, on the back of the performances that he's had and the injuries that he's had. So I can see him staying for a season as a backup striker, because it doesn't look like we're going to sign two strikers this summer unless, we get maybe a Hojlund for decent money, and all of a sudden Harry Kane becomes available later in the window and you find another 100 million out of nowhere. Maybe so. But I think Martial stays as a backup next season. I really do. I can't see anything else other than that. Let's see. Irish Dad says, off topic, but did anyone watch the overlap today with Dele Alli Porchap? Yeah, I did. I was going to mention it at the end of the stream. So for anybody who didn't see it, head over to YouTube and watch Dele Alli's interview with Gary Neville on the overlap. It's absolutely heart-wrenching. It really, really is. And your heart does go out to him. He had such a difficult childhood up until the age of about 12 before he was adopted. Your heart goes out to him. And I would love nothing more than to, and I won't lie, I fell into the category of thinking he was just lazy and didn't live up to expectations and all of that kind of stuff. But when you hear some of the stuff he went through, you really understand, the problems he's gone through. And, he spent time in rehab now for, sleeping tablets and stuff like that. So my heart goes out to him. I would love to see him coming back and, revitalizing his career, because what is he? He's only 27 and, there's a Euros on next year. Wouldn't it be a great comeback for him to come back and get into the England squad next year? All you can do is wish someone the best with something like that. Absolutely. Let's see. Oshin says, McTominay back to Scotland. Isn't he born and bred in Manchester? Martial equals the new Phil Jones. Not getting rid of him. I'm not sure actually with McTominay. Was he born in Manchester? Not 100% sure. Irish Lad says, nobody's going to take Martial. He's just run his contract down and leave for free. Let's see what people on TikTok are saying here as well. Jock is in. Good to see you. Thomas is there as well. Kieran says, would you like Or would you sign a proven striker like Callum Wilson, or not proven like Igo Aspas or Jonathan David? Well, there's a lot to be said about getting a striker who has already scored goals in the Premier League. Now, the majority of strikers that are proven to score goals in the Premier League, one, are already at a club that you're never going to get them off. And second of all, if they're scoring goals in the Premier League and there's a chance that you can buy them, it means they're coming from a lower tier team, which is always a risk as well. So, you know, ifs and buts. What's the situation about the takeover, says Mehdi? So basically, let me just put it this way about the takeover. There is no news about the takeover. And trust me, okay, we go live at 7:30 every night. The only way I will have news about a takeover to say that you don't know is if it breaks while we're live. Because I promise you, you will hear it before I tell you. You know, your phone will be binging, your friends will be ringing you. You'll see it all over social media when it's announced. You will know before I tell you. I promise you that. But we'll come on, of course, and talk about it and be happy about it once it's done. But there is no news about the takeover. And there's a 99.9% chance that you will not hear the news about a new takeover from me, because your phone will just go bing, 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 bing the second it breaks. So now I will go live the second it does break as well. But, you know, we will, yeah. So until then, it's all the same. Is that wallpaper behind you? It says JTag. It certainly is. It certainly is. Some man at wallpaper, and I am. J-Mac says, hi, mate. I'm standing right beside Gary Neville as we speak. I shit you not. Have you a message? Well, Gaz. Michael says, we should re-sign Paul Pogba again for 10 million euro. I wouldn't sign him if they gave us 10 million euro. So I wouldn't. Eric says, I honestly think we should offer Sancho, or we should offer Sancho plus money for Hojlund. Yeah, so read on the United fan page on Facebook that Onana deal is done. Is it true? It's getting very close, Josh. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to, I'd say in the next maybe 24 to 48 hours, we'll probably get an announcement on it. Fabrizio Romano has come out and basically said that United and Inter Milan are just working out the finer details of the payments and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll happen soon. Crack Up says, morning, why didn't they have a deadline when clubs go up for sale and stop dragging it on? I know, but the owners can do what they want. Denny says, longer it goes on, the more I'm worried they won't sell. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Right. Let's get through some outgoings, guys, before we finish up here. And of course, as we've heard today, Everton are thinking about making a bid for Anthony Elanga, anywhere between 15 and 20 million. So as we can see here, reports have suggested that a bid has been made. I'm not 100% sure if that's true yet or not. It is coming from the BBC, from Simon Stone, so it's a pretty rock solid source. So earlier today, we relayed a report from transfer guru Fabrizio Romano saying that United were in negotiations with the Toffees over a deal. So look, I mean, it looks like Anthony Elanga is probably going to be gone this summer. And you know what? If we can get 20 million for Anthony Elanga, I think it's an absolute brilliant move for both him and for Manchester United. 20 million for, you know, a fringe player, you would say, not even a squad player, I think is really good business out of Manchester United. I have to say, it's really good business. And that 20 million will go a long way towards reinvesting it back into the squad with, you know, with us, of course, looking for a new striker, goalkeeper, second midfielders, all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think this is a good deal. And I think it's probably one that will get done. Now, there is reports suggesting as well that Nottingham Forest are interested in Anthony Elanga as well. So, look, I mean, the more players that are interested in him, the better. Let's have a little bidding war between everybody and, you know, goes to the highest bidder, you might get an extra 5 million out of transfer deal. So look, I think this is a good move for both. You know, I think Everton will be getting a good player, Elanga will be getting game time, and United will be getting good money. So I think it's a good deal all around, I have to say. Let's see. Scott says 20 million for Elanga would be good business. It would be. And look, there's a lot of, we mentioned it last week, Scott, that there's a lot of negativity around the board and their ability to get transfers done over, you know, and obviously they're a new board. This is only their second transfer window. Of course, a lot of them people have been in place, you know, since the last, I suppose, era, the Ed Woodward era. But, you know, the likes of John Murtagh and Richard Arnold, okay, we made some mistakes last summer, but on the whole, I think it was a good summer. I think, you know, we probably only, I think now looking at, I was going to say we slightly overpaid for Martinez, but looking back on it now, I don't think we did. I think we underpaid for him. I think we got Malacia for a really good deal. Casemiro, I think, was probably, looking back on how good he was last season, we got him for probably the right amount of money. Anthony, we probably overpaid for. That was probably a mistake. And we got Eriksen on a free. So that's not a bad window. You know what I mean? I think there's some good negotiating deals in there. We look at this summer then. Already they're after holding their ground on Mason Mount. We're not paying over 55 million for him. And they got him for 55 million, which I think is going to be good money. Okay, we're talking about a new goalkeeper that you could potentially have for the next 10 years for 50 million, which in today's market is nothing, considering Ten Hag wants him so bad. You know, I think if we can get 20 million for Anthony Elanga, it's good business. If we could get another 2 off the books in maybe Fred, there's talks of 20 million for Fred as well. I think that's good business. If you could get McTominay, or if you could get Donny van de Beek and Maguire off the books and get maybe another 50 to 60 million for them, that's good business. That's good business. So there's some channels that will just be negative, and everyone's crap at their job, and we all know who it is, and that's okay. You know what I mean? That's all right, and people enjoy listening to that as well. But let's give some credit at some time about something. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think we're doing okay. I think we're slowly but surely reversing the trend that we had under the Ed Woodward era, where we just bought stupid, we gave stupid money out, and we paid players ridiculous salaries. I think we're slowly but surely, you know, fixing the curve. Luke says, Man United negotiators are what we need. How are we this bad at signing players for a decent price and quickly? Right, well, I've literally just answered that question. Oshin says, could we send Maguire with Elanga, buy one, get slab free? Irish lad says, United sold a player to Birmingham for 4 million yesterday. I didn't hear that, actually. Chong and Laird, says Irish lad. And Luke says, deals done quickly is needed. Yes, but deals done quickly is needed. But you have to take into consideration that, you know, buying a player from a club, then the selling club has to, you know, say, well, we have to reinvest that money. Can we look at potential options to reinvest it? Then you're looking at, you know, players wanting a certain fee. You're looking at agents, you know, add-ons, all this kind of stuff. Of course, then United, I think, have turned a corner that they don't want to be necessarily taken advantage of anymore, like we had been in previous years under Ed Woodward. So look, I think it's positive. I am getting a little bit worried. So look, I tend to start a lot of the news shows lately going, oh Jesus, I'm being worried. But the more I kind of talk about it, and the more I, you know, kind of talk it out in my own mind, the more I go, all right, maybe it's not as bad. And maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit. So we are desperate for number 9. You know, if we go back to the very start here, we are desperate for number 9. And we desperately need one. everybody knows we desperately need one, so we're probably going to end up overpaying. And that's not the club's fault necessarily. Martial, as we know, is, sick note. Ronaldo threw his ties out of the pram, so we were left without a striker, and Weghorst came on loan. So this was always going to be the case. It really, really was. And I think we will get a striker this summer. I think we'll probably overpay, but look, as long as we get one, and one that will score goals. If we spend 80 million on Rasmus Hojlund and he scores 25 goals next season, no one's going to give a shit. No one is going to care. No one will blink twice at 85 million, because if we wanted to sell him next summer and he scored 25 goals, we could ask for 100 million for him, So look, I think deals are getting done in the background. It's going to take another bit of time. It looks like goalkeeper is going to be done, pretty much in the next 24, 48 hours, which is good. Let's get him in before the preseason tour. It would be brilliant if we could get the goalkeeper in before the preseason tour as well, before we fly, or the striker before we fly out to America. That would be ideal. It probably won't happen, and it will probably mean that whoever the striker is that we sign will probably meet up with us on tour at some stage in America. If not, maybe play in Dublin or wherever it may be. So look, deals are getting done, not the end of the world. And of course, look, we had our first preseason game last night, and there is some good young lads there as well. I did want to mention this as well, finally, before I go, that Manchester United want to loan out Pellistri, but first, United want to extend his contract. Real Betis and FC20 are two potential loan destinations for Pellistri. So it looks like Pellistri is going to go on loan. Does that mean then that Ahmad is going to stay and he is going to be maybe the competition to Anthony on the right-hand side next season? The second I read this is instantly what I thought. I said, okay, well, that's probably going to mean that Ahmad is going to stay. He's not going to go out on loan. Ahmad was on loan last year. Pellistri is going to go on loan this year. Pellistri is going to get his game time and see where we go from there. But if that is the case, Ahmad is going to have a big opportunity. Of course, preseason is going to be very important for him. And I thought he played well yesterday against Leeds. So, but look, guys, we're going to be doing all of the preseason tour watch-alongs, even the ones that are on in the middle of the night. We're going to be doing them. So make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. Do hit the follow button on TikTok as well. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the follow button. We're on the road to 40,000 followers, which is unreal. So make sure you're not missing out as well. And if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, anybody that's watching us now on YouTube, do hit the bell notification. You get notified as soon as we go live. We're live most weeknights at 7:30. And of course, all of the watch-alongs. And do hit the bell notification on TikTok as well. You get notified when we go live. Guys, it's been a blast. I appreciate everybody getting involved in the chat, commenting, liking. Please do hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. We've only got 13 likes out of about 150 views. So if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. Scott, welcome to the Members Club. Again, I appreciate it. Anyone else wants to join the Members Club and come on screen with us for the match reviews after each Man United game in the upcoming season, that's what we're offering club members this season. Hit the link in the description. Go check it out. But just hit the subscribe button more than anything else. It's the best way of supporting the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow night for another news show. Hopefully, we will have a decision on our goalkeeper. Hopefully we'll have a here we go done deal, but we'll be keeping you up to date as we go. Thanks for watching. Keep safe, and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Take it easy.